I let go of control and all my troubles go away. Meditating every day until the shadow is revealed. Unconditional love permeating my field. I let go and let God. Why not? She's got it. I let go and let God. I let go.
Oh, hey, episode number 8, I believe it is. Number 8, episode number 8.
Yeah.
Convenience kills is the topic. Convenience kills.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably take a guess what this is going to be about. But essentially, I'll start us off here. Convenience really it's like a natural part of human biology to seek out convenience. It's if you watch the Animal Channel, they're always trying to conserve their energy, seeking convenience as much as they possibly can to conserve that energy, to save it for more important things. And so it's in our natural biology to seek convenience, to savor that energy. So I think the most important thing is to not shame ourselves when we seek out convenience in our lives, no matter what it is, or seek out the most convenient option or route. And because we're going to naturally do it, and then we're going to naturally, but the key would be for me to understand and be mindful when myself is trying to seek out convenience when it's not going to be benefiting the greater good of the organism myself, right? So, and we'll dig in a lot here of where convenience is, where a lot of us seek out convenience and it's not doing us any favors for the benefits of, our strength, our health, our mental health, and so on and so forth. And
Yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about that portion of it. And I was just going through all of the ways that we were being exploited, like our impulse to go towards convenience, and how that it's human nature based off of what you just described. It's a part of our evolution as a species, and every species, and you can see it in dogs as well. You compare a wolf versus a dog, and then we provide all of these conveniences to dogs, and they've a lot of
mhm,
their innate strengths have just diminished, and into now you have this little creature that can't really defend itself. And yeah, I say it all the time, to the point where, like, I annoy Tina with it, because it's just, and now I'm starting to annoy other people with it, because I'm just like, it just applies everywhere. Convenience kill just applies basically everywhere. We have this
mhm.
we have this culture, especially with technology, right? Like, technology helps with convenience. Like, that's one of its core, like, one core benefits is convenience.
Or
And
they're like core motives or goals as
yeah,
enterprises, companies, is to be as most convenient as possible, and they're almost competing with convenience
yeah,
for us,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
They're competing for our attention, and our attention is the most easiest, quickest, fastest way to get things done, or access things.
yeah,
And our environments just aren't the same as our environments don't match our biology, how our biology evolved as a species, or even, dogs or humans.
hmm
Like, we evolved to seek out convenience, to seek out sugar, right? To fill ourselves up with as much food as possible when we get it, but we don't have now we have all this access, all these convenient things when it comes to sugars and salty, snacky foods, and then
Food's a huge one.
the cell phones and the internet, and
Let's just talk about food for a little bit, because I think that's the biggest one. from
mhm,
the from the snacks, from the processed food, from refrigeration, uh, plastic, like all of these things have created this like convenience. So previously, we would kill a buffalo, and we would and we would take great care to use every part of that buffalo,
Hmm.
and then we would preserve it in ways that were beneficial to 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 our health.
Hmm.
Now, like, well, we rarely eat buffalo, but when we do eat buffalo or beef, now it's like you can put it in a freezer and it could last however long. And since you, in order to do that, you have to put it in plastic, so you can't do the old ways. And so there's this like timing with food where the proximity of you, the animal dying and you eating it, it would be pretty quick, and you would
Hmm.
eat it with, like, you would have to rely on a tribe, a village as well, because like it wasn't that often you could find this and kill this huge buffalo or this deer. Like, it's very
Hmm.
difficult to do it. Now it's just so convenient, and not only that, you could get a bison beef stick just walking over to, or beef stick just walking over to 7-Eleven, and it's
Yeah.
just so convenient now, uh, that it's just taking everything away. So if you just take that one principle of food and you just say, like, I'm just going to take convenience kills, and it literally kills, right? Like, sometimes this is a literal, uh it's not like a figure of speech. Like, over time, if you keep doing the most convenient thing when it comes to food, it's going to end up being the death of you.
Hmm. For sure. And what you were talking about when it comes to animals and is like, for example, a buffalo or a deer, we're 100 plus, 200 plus years ago and beyond. It's like when we killed an animal, we tried to use every piece of that animal. Right now, we have the benefit of just utilizing only the really juicy parts,
Yeah,
the butt, the meaty parts, the only stuff that tastes really, really good, and we just
yeah.
throw out the rest. We throw out
Chicken breast, baby, the
we
chicken breast.
Yeah, and we throw out the highest nutrient dense parts of the animal. And what
Exactly.
are those?
Yeah, organs.
Organ meats, liver, heart, kidneys, pancreas, but those we don't even use them. No one acts, and it's the highest nutrient dense foods on the planet is liver, and then heart is the next one, and then and then the rest of the organs. But like you even look at the animals that still do it today, the wolves, the head wolf, the alpha, he'll immediately eat the heart and the liver. I think the
Hmm.
liver first, and then he'll eat the heart, and he'll come in and eat it first,
Hmm.
and then he'll let the rest of the pack come in and
Yeah.
eat the rest of the animal. So it's like animals still do it. We used to do it, but now we don't do it anymore. So what you're talking about, convenience kills, since it's so convenient now to get only the juicy, tastiest part, which has less nutrients. Now we have less nutrient dense diets, and now we're a less healthy organism because
It's
no
even
one's
deeper
eating
than
or.
it's even deeper than that, because it's like killing the animal is another one where it's convenient. Well, now it's convenient. We don't have to kill the animal ourselves.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
someone can do it for you and just shows up. And it's like, imagine the experience of you and your brethren going and hunting an animal, and it doesn't happen very often. And it's just this, like, and then you bring it back, you drag it back. It's not like you can put it in the bed of a truck. You
Hmm.
drag it back, right? And it's just this. It's almost like a military communal warlike experience. It's very tribal, like all of it is.
Hmm. I mean,
And you're
that's like a
teaching your
spiritual
children.
experience.
Yeah, your children's going with you, so you're like coaching them and they're learning, and then you bring it back and you have this fire and this communal thing, and it's just like all of that's gone,
But the
you know?
anticipation of the tribes wondering, like, are they going to bring something
Yeah,
back this time or
yeah.
not? Because you don't know.
You
It's
just
like,
bring back a few berries and nuts.
yeah, every other time you don't bring back any food, any meat at all.
Because that's one thing. When I read 2 books last year on the early settlers, like first, like way before, like even before the Mayflower, And one of the most difficult things is going hungry and
Mhm.
literally starving to death.
Mhm.
And so these settlers would come over, and they just didn't have the skills. I equate it to like just grabbing uh, 20, 50 people out of Chicago or Indianapolis, just grabbing them out and saying, hey, you just put out like a newspaper thing saying, who would want to go to this other, who wants to go to Mars or wherever, and it's like somewhere you've never been, you don't know what the habitat's like, and then they get there and they have no skills, they can't hunt, they can't do anything, and
Mhm.
and so people die, and it's just like so difficult to get uh an animal that they died. And I remember just hearing stories where like they would to avoid suffering. Some resorted to cannibalism, by the way. It got that bad, you
Mhm.
know. And but before that, they would like dig in the ground. Apparently there's like nuts in the ground, like ground nuts, where they go dig in the ground and they find these like nuts where it's probably awful tasting, and and then they're trying
Yeah.
to find like nut berries and stuff on like trees, and God only knows if they're poisonous or the right ones. And it's like that whole experience, if you just keep digging into convenience kills around food, and it's insane. Like even with our kids now, like you find it with snacks. It's so convenient just to grab a snack for the road versus
Mhm.
like making a snack, or um and that's just, there isn't, even if you have the healthiest snack, it's not going to be that nutrient dense, it's not going to be beneficial, uh and yeah, it's going to hurt you long term.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Food's a very, very big one.
Fast
Um,
food, you know.
oh yeah, yeah. That's fast food's completely it just ruins society, really. It's just everything about it's not healthy for you all. There's hardly any nutrition in it. If you just went and ate the meat only and tore everything off, you might be able to get some solid
Mhm.
nutrition out of it. But everything else is. Then when it comes to seed oils, the seed oils were built on convenience, right? They had this leftover rancid oil they didn't know what to do with. They were making soap and stuff with it, and they're like, why don't we just put it in food? And then they made Crisco, and started putting it in food instead. And it was all out of convenience, right?
Mhm.
Because they had a bunch of it, and they're like, oh, we have this food system, we just put it in there. And it wasn't about, hey, is this going to be more healthy for beneficial for society? It was more, this is the most convenient thing to do because we have a bunch of this stuff and it's going to make us some money,
Yeah.
right? And so
I,
it's like, and then now it's in everything because then everything's subsidized. So when corn's subsidized, so then you have the corn syrups, and then you have the corn oils, and then the soybeans subsidized by the government. So then you have the soybean oils. So all these things are subsidized. So then it's a lot more convenient. And then I was even thinking about it even more when I was thinking on this is monocropping
mm,
farms.
yeah.
What's the easiest thing to do when you're a farmer?
Yeah.
You just fucking plant one thing
Yeah.
across the whole farm, and
Don't have
then
to think.
yeah, the most difficult thing to do is regenerative farming, where you're planting a mass diverse amount of different plants
Hmm.
and fruits all across your land, and then rotating them each
Cover
year,
crops and
and then
grazing.
yeah, planting cover crops and grazing with the animals,
Yeah.
and planting flowers and pollinators, so pollinators can come in. So like that's the most difficult thing, but we've designed our whole food system around convenience, and then now we have, and then what happens when you do that? And then oh, now you have more pests coming in. The the soil doesn't absorb water anymore, right?
Yeah.
Our soils have been depleted. They don't absorb water anymore. All this has just been a downstream effect of
We
convenience
kill all
of
the
the food system.
microorganisms, so the nutritional profile is different, less nutrient dense. Don't have like the raw minerals and nutrients, and because the soil feeds the plants. It's yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
like
keeps going and going and going. Like it just
the
it's
50-year
so.
difference of like a carrot. What was it, like the beta carotene of a carrot and some of the other vitamins on a carrot from like
Yeah.
50 years ago to now? it's like an insane amount of difference.
just because
So
it
you have,
depleted soils.
yeah, you have to eat like
Nutrition.
2-3 times the amount of the carrots today than you did 50 years ago.
And think about that, like when you think about fast food in general, that's prototypical convenience kills, and it's been going on since what, the 40s, 50s. Uh, from where we're from, small town, that's all. That's the only option is
Hmm.
is fast food. You
Hmm.
could you could eat it. Maybe there was a Mexican restaurant, and I think that might have been it.
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, so that, like, that was the only thing where you could potentially get real food made to order. And then of course, like, well, yeah, you could go to the grocery and make your food, but we've lost that skill set. You know,
Hmm.
we've
Hmm.
we've lost the skill set, and then but you go there to make your food, but you get a can of it's a can of something, and then what's the convenience kills on that? Like, it's been in that can for a while, long shelf life, the nutrients are being depleted because how long it, and God only knows where that carrot came from. It definitely came from a monocrop farm, and it's just, there's all of these just like unintended consequences all the way up and down the food chain. In the fast food restaurants, getting the most convenient, uh, you know, getting the most convenient ingredients for everything on their menu, and it's just a mouse storm of slop.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
You,
really bad.
it, so phone's the other one, like the big convenience. And you and I just, what, 2 months ago in November, took a big leap uh, and got a minimal phone. It's
Hmm.
kind of like a light phone, some of the kids are calling it. And
Or a dumb phone,
yeah,
other
dumb
kids are
phone.
calling it.
Yeah, because we have our smartphones came out in 2010, something or other, and they've just taken over our life. Consumption is skyrocketed, and then it's had unintended consequences on our mental health, and and so just so we got this new minimal phone, and it's like, you could check it out, the minimal phone company. You got it right there. There you go. So you can see it's got a QWERTY keyboard on the front, and it's grayscale, so it's black and white, and so it's kind of like BlackBerry-esque style. You could probably equate it to a BlackBerry, because
Hmm.
I guarantee the BlackBerry screen wasn't that great. Uh, it's on Android, so it isn't completely dumb. You're showing a text message right now, yeah,
Yeah.
but I probably couldn't see the text message, and and everything what I've this convenience kills has basically just magnified my view on it, because now I realize, how long have I been using the iPhone? Probably 15 years,
Hmm.
maybe close to it. We've been
Yeah.
using an iPhone for 15 years, and everything about this magnificent device is convenience. Everything, even
Hmm.
from opening it, just opening it, just opening it and getting to your text messages takes like 5 times as long on our on this new minimal phone versus iPhone. So even
Hmm.
that, what I've noticed, and you and I have talked about this, is like, with these phones, you start to be less motivated to want to do things, because it's such a pain in the ass. It's not
Hmm.
as convenient, and it's all positive. So, for example, like social media, uh, technically you could access social media on these phones, but it's grayscale, so videos suck, and you can't really see what's going on. Pictures suck, uh, and then you would have to go through the browser, and it's a pain. Uh, and so I haven't been on social media on this phone since for 2 months, and so that's a positive thing. Uh, like unproductive text with like guys chats,
Hmm.
is has decreased. So you have all these unproductive conversations where you're talking about politics or sports or whatever, that just some is fine, but then it gets to a point where uh, it just takes your time away from important things you want to do. And
Mm.
so there's convenience around it. So like even copying and pasting a URL and to like one thread to the next. You send me something, you send me like a URL. Now we got to copy and paste this URL, go to the next thread and paste it, click on it, go through. Like I don't have any previews of Twitter links or Instagram links, and so it's just every single thing about it. Switching from one thing to the next is just difficult, and it just makes everything inconvenient to the point where I use my phone less. And it's been it's been crazy. And I looked up a little bit of stats, and today we're on our phone like 5 to 6 hours a day on
Mm.
average.
I read the same.
Kids are even like a half an hour to an hour longer. So teenagers, I mean, so they're on their phones less. And I looked at, well, I did some research and tried to figure out like how much were we on our phone prior to smartphones. And so I looked back, and I think it was 2001 or 1999. I can't remember when the statistic was, but they looked at like time on phone, mobile and like landline. So they took like when you used to have home phones plus your mobile phone, 1 hour a week.
Wow,
You
that's
know,
crazy.
so 5 times less. And I think that's what this minimal phone has helped. I send more voice memos. People can hear my voice more. Uh, I make I make probably more like phone calls than I did previously. Uh, and yeah, it's been a crazy shift to my habits and my daily life.
Yeah, a lot of what these phones are made to do and built to do is to one, capture our attention, fill fill our sense of boredom. We're bored, we go to our phone. We seek it for these dopamine hits. It's the most convenient way to get a quick dopamine hit. Oh, a real excitement. Whether someone's texting me. Oh, I need to check my Instagram. Need to check that sports score. Need to check my bets. A lot of young men are all wasting a
Yeah,
lot of money and attention
yeah,
span on bets. So it's like the phone is just this thing that's, and I like to think of myself as a very mindful person, especially over the last 10 years. Build a nice emotional um intelligence up, and became a lot more mindful. But even myself with this iPhone, it's just it it's so convenient to jump on and check the Instagram really quickly, and even if it's just for a couple seconds, or if I'll jump on and go to a text thread and someone sends a post from X, and then I was like, I'll click it really quick, click it, and the next thing you know, I'm in a,
lost.
yeah, I'm lost in the comments, and then it leads me somewhere else. Next thing you know, I'm 10, 15 minutes on the phone, and you can see how all these distractions, and that's why this new minimal phone has helped me a ton. It's allowed me to be way more present and
Hmm.
with my family, my kids, my wife, at dinners when we're out, or brunches,
Hmm.
or just anywhere in the woods. I'll go to any, I can feel my habits where I go to, it's like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of this, I'm gonna
Yeah,
post it,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I was just like, there ain't no way I'm doing that with
yeah,
this phone.
yeah.
So it's helped me become way more present, and then I immediately um, direct my attention onto more productive things, more things that have higher priority, and that's what I think we all need to do more of, because it's like we're no one has the willpower to, because willpower is all about environment. You got to design your environment to, because no one has like this willpower they can turn on and off. It's like whatever your environment is
Exactly.
around you is, and that your phone is your environment, man. So it's like it's super convenient to access all this stuff. There's your environment right there. Boom. Now your access have all this amount of dopamine hit, and then just
Boredom
a
is
mass.
the one thing that I want to hone in on is like boredom is what you mentioned, and I've had to sit with boredom a lot more recently. And I did a silent retreat last year where boredom hit in deep, and it is tough, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like boredom is something that it's hard to sit with, and with an iPhone, it's easy to get out of that boredom quickly. With this phone, you don't have many things you can distract yourself with convenience. You can
Hmm.
go to your text threads, but even the text threads, it's like it's hard to even know if you even have a text sometimes because it's black and gray, and then you click into it and it's like it's kind of laggy. Like everything is inconvenient. Just scrolling within your text thread can be inconvenient, and it just takes you away from uh, wanting to use it.
Hmm.
But boredom was something that I'm reading that book that you read, Already Free by Bruce Tiff, and he he talks about boredom in the chapter I'm reading, and he says that we one of the underlying themes of his book is talking about how like unconsciously we do these things. Well, we have these neuroses that have been kind of carved in stone in our brain from our childhood, and then we unconsciously kind of act these things out in reality. And his whole thing is to try to uh, relieve you of these neuroses. And so one of the things he talks about is like we want unconsciously, like we want problems. This is a quote from him. He's like, we want problems, we want drama, we want challenges, we want risks. And uh, if we extrapolate this to our daily lives, we can see how much of a threat it might be to allow boredom to enter. So unconsciously, if we want all these like problems, drama, challenges, risks, yada yada yada, and boredom enters, um, it can be a big threat to
Hmm.
our identity, everything. So we get anxiety, we get stressed out. He says if we get bored enough, we might just wake up to the truth of our experience. You know,
Repeat that again.
if we get bored enough, we might just wake up to the truth of our
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, man.
And you know how he kind of talks about the truth of our experience is that there is no like solid sense of self. You know, we're and there's nothing to hold on to, and that's freeing to the extent of like, hey, have this identity that has all these dramas, and it's all like things we create in our head, uh, and like the problems. It's all something we've created in our head,
Hmm.
where we've
For
said
sure.
something, we're worried about what other people are thinking, and all these like speculation about things. And so boredom is something I've been intentionally trying to get better at, and I've actually done it more. Like I'm definitely spending more time with the kids, wife, having conversations. I'm reading more, and that's something that I've uh, been wanting to do more, and so now I've been reading a lot more. I booted up my Kindle. It had been sitting up there, had been having issues. I couldn't connect to Wi-Fi, so I now I have time to do like meaningful things. I
Hmm.
reset the Kindle, got it back. All I had to do is do a hard reset. Now I got to set back up, and now I have that around the house, and I'm picking up, and so I'm just like quickly I can read when I get bored.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's crazy how much boredom affects our lives. And I still have my iPhone, right? And so sometimes I'll use it for certain scenarios, and I get back into those same habits
On
where I'll
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
yeah, on Wi-Fi. And so I'll flip on Wi-Fi, say I got to do something, like I got to send something on email, and I don't want to go to my laptop. I'll pull up it's kind of use it kind of like an iPad sometimes,
Hmm.
uh, or I have an app I want to stream something to the TV, and so I use it for that. But what I'll find myself is like hey, let me search on X and find something. I'll go on X and search something, or be like, my friend's a Bears fan. I'll go search for something I could send to my friends. And you just get caught in these like games,
Yeah.
and it's just so easy. But you couldn't do that on the minimal phone.
Yeah, it takes way too long. There's a quote I love that goes hand in hand with what you were just talking about. Blaise Pascal's his name, says all of humanity's problems stem from the man's ability to sit quietly in a room alone. And
Yeah.
it's like kind of what you're saying. Like we humans avoid solitude really because not because they lack the ability is what it was saying, but because they fear confronting their own inner thoughts and the discomfort of self-reflection. And I felt that same thing
Hmm.
when I did my own little silent retreat, and when you're faced with boredom and didn't have my phone with me, and I kept feeling a knack to try and do stuff to fill the time, whether it was I
Mhm.
took my dog with me. So I took my dog, and then I journaled, and then I read a book, then I switched to a different book, and then I journaled some more, then I meditated for an hour.
Slept. I remember sleeping, just taking a
Yeah,
nap.
yeah, I took a nap. I took an hour nap, and then I started getting lonely.
Mm.
I started having like a sense of loneliness too.
Mhm.
I heard a couple kids sounding like my kids, and it really hit home. Like I really want to try and do a several day retreat one day.
Yeah.
A week would be fantastic because it would really reveal some inner stuff.
Yeah.
If you did a week,
It'd be like a
because
psychedelic experience.
I did like 24 hours, maybe a little over 24 hours, a day and a half or something, and um, I think mine was just a day, 24 hours, and yeah, man, it like I said, I thought I was pretty mindful in it
Yeah.
and good sitting with boredom, but it really hit me. So yeah, this has helped, but I still have a lot of improvement there and a lot of things to discover by sitting quietly in a room.
There's two other things I want to talk about the phone before we go to the next one. Is that there's this concept I'm I remember reading in the book Deep Work, and the book's all by Cal Newport. It's all about creating deep focus for like 3 to 4 hours a day and without distraction free is how you get the most value and outcomes out of yourself and your career, your personal life, yada yada. One of the concepts he talks about in there is this concept called attention residue. And so when you switch from say task A to task B, your attention doesn't immediately follow, and so there's like a residue of your attention that remains stuck thinking about the original task.
Mm,
And so he calls it attention residue. And this is in the literature, right? This is in the research.
mm,
Uh, and this happens with phone for sure. And so you can imagine like your friend sends you something, it's an X link, it auto previews, you read the headline, you go away, you don't even click on it. All you did is picked up your phone, read the preview, now you're gone. There's attention residue off of that. And
mm.
it affects your other tasks, whether you think it doesn't or it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And then another one is the mere presence. There's a study around like the mere presence of your smartphone reduces, they call it available cognitive capacity. And there's two things they measured with that. It was working memory, your working memory, and fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence just means like your ability to identify power patterns, reason logically, and solve new problems on off the cuff, not with like your memory. So like you giving me a problem,
Mm,
and what they did was like they put these people and they would have them do tasks, and they would sit their phone in four different places. One in a desk, two in like a pocket bag. So it's still like one's on the desk, two's in like a pocket bag, or in their pocket or in a bag. And then third is in the other room, and it's it'll be better if I just show you the how much different. Let me share my screen and show it really quickly, because this is the screenshot taken from the study, and it'll show you like the performance comparison of you can see desk, and this is a phone location, this is working memory capacity, and this is fluid intelligence, and you can see that like if it's on your the closer it is to you, that's the insight. The closer your phone is to you, even if it's in a bag, your mind knows it, and it's like it's affecting you. Um, and
Yeah,
so
that
it's
makes sense.
it like basically my whole thing from this is like your phone's affecting you without even being on it. Even in the other room, it's not like it's better if you had it off and down, put it in your backyard or something.
Hmm. And to me, that's convenience too. If it's close enough for you to access it, but if you can't see it, then it's not convenient anymore.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I'm still not that good at it. I've had times where I'll keep it out of the room, but mine's still sitting here on my desk, and I'll check it on after I work for like 45 minutes to an hour straight. I'll check it,
Hmm.
and then put it back down. I could be a lot better at it. There's no
No, for
doubt.
sure. Yeah. What else you got?
I think there one that I thought of when I was taking a walk yesterday was one thing that came up is like what's really convenient is being antisocial, not going to a
Mm,
party that your friends want you to go to,
mm-hmm,
or go to an event, or go to a bar, or go to dinner, or meet these new people, right? This
mm-hmm,
is like everyone experiences this.
mm-hmm.
You're either outgoing, or you're or
Introvert.
yeah, you're an introvert, or you're outgoing. So but so like that is a huge factor. That's the most convenient thing, is to stay home, be lazy, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
watch TV, and then loneliness is a major thing, especially for elderly folk. And I think it's a major cause of death for elderly folk is loneliness.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a large factor in it, is because anytime we're seeking out the most convenient thing, because even me, I feel like I'm a fairly outgoing person, but when it comes to doing some large events, or or whatever it
Mm-hmm,
is, I was at a conference in December in Florida, and you know they have these parties where everybody's drinking and stuff, and I didn't want to drink. It was like a
mm-hmm,
Tuesday, but
mm-hmm,
I was like, I still need to go and meet a few extra people,
mm-hmm,
but I like forced myself. Then once I got in there and met a few people, it was fine, but I was still even wanting to do the convenient route. I wanted to sit in my hotel and read my book and
mm-hmm.
relax and go to bed early, but I forced myself to do it, and was a little less lonely, and probably build up my confidence a little bit more, and build up my network obviously a little bit more.
When you were talking about it, I was thinking like you had an option. You had two options you were giving yourself, and you should have just gave yourself. And I think one lesson is just like removing the amount of options, because you're always going to want to take the convenient one. Going back to the original uh, story when you're talking about the top of the podcast, where like we're built to go towards the most convenient thing, because it, there's a conservation of energy from a survival perspective, because we're animals.
Hmm.
And so if you give two options, go to this or don't go to this, everything in your being is going to be pushing towards not going to this. I
Hmm.
have the same uh, issue, verbatim, same thing that you just described when it comes to those types of scenarios. And it even gets worse, like if you're multi-day company event, company event, company event, because I used to go to the UK, my last company, and it would be like I'd go there for 3-4 days, and it's just like over and over and over, and you're just like mentally exhausted from
Mhm.
having way too many conversations, even if you're an extrovert or in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so reducing options, and you go back to food, same thing, right? Like you're going to, if you reduce the options, the amount of options you're going to do, like for example, just throw everything out. Just throw everything out of your pantry
Mhm.
and force yourself to have to do it. Like
Yeah.
that's really what you have to do if you want to change.
Yeah. But there's one thing I want to talk about that kind of goes hand in hand with the technology is that's really affecting our critical thinking and our creativity is AI, and it's continuously becoming a factor, and that's the most convenient thing possible right
Yeah.
now. It's the
Yeah.
most convenient
Yeah.
sucker that you can find out there because it does it does your task for you, and but it's really destroying our critical thinking skills and our creativity, especially for people that are still, and even as a 39-year-old man, I still need to utilize my critical thinking skills
Yeah.
and uh, tap into my own creativity, because if you don't use it, you lose it type thing.
Yeah.
It kind of digresses as you age anyway. But like, especially as young kids growing up, adolescents, younger, that are using this to write their papers, uh, songwriters, having them come up with their own lyrics and
Hmm.
things, that's going on,
Yeah.
writing their poems for them or writing their books for them. They basically have their own ghostwriter to write your own book,
Yep.
right? You don't even really need to. You just type in a few things and boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's that one's huge, and that one's going to be a major societal effect here. You can already see it, and I'm already hearing it with some of the youth. Some of the youth. There's one girl that didn't even know how to what she didn't even know how to read or write very well or something.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Something crazy because
Yeah.
AI was essentially did all of her papers and stuff in school, and she didn't even
Yeah.
know how to like actually write.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
crazy.
so this one's I actually fear this one because it is the master of convenience, and I have even trouble of forcing myself of not utilizing it. But I was writing a few poems over the last like 6 months for my son's first birthday, and then I was writing a couple other ones, and it's just something I kind of enjoy a little bit to tap into some creativity.
Yeah.
But there's always a like I feel like I want to jump in there to ask it a few things. Oh, hey, give me some words that rhyme with this, which I don't
Oh, for
think's
sure.
too bad, that one. But then you can see how it can go start to do it. If you go a little further past that, then it's going to start taking over, and then now it's not your work really. And I think that's going on an insane amount right
Oh.
now in all creative arts.
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, I had an executive at my company, like C-level. I was just looking at deck, and then all of a sudden I started noticing all the telltale signs of like AI. And this exec presented this to like the entire exec team, everything, and I was like, it has title case, and then you could tell like the sentences that weren't title case, he actually edited,
Title
right?
case, what's that?
Title case is when you write a sentence and every first letter is capitalized. AI does
Oh,
that a lot.
oh,
It's a telltale sign. And then you can tell that when they copy and pasted it into Google Slides, like the bullet points were close together, and so it wasn't formatted like a normal bullet point. It didn't
mm,
even take the time to erase the paste bullet point and create a real formatted one in Google Slides. And so it's going on at every level to the point where like I just constantly get annoyed because I don't want to read your AI slop.
mm. Yeah, I've experienced it with people I work with over the last year or so, and yeah, it's like you. It's like, oh, you hand me this AI slop and expect me to like,
Now I have to do the work
yeah,
to read it.
expect me to do a bunch of work, and then it's like, hey, if you're gonna do AI slop, I'm gonna send you AI slop back.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and that's going on. People, you're right. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. Probably in colleges. That's what's happening in high schools. That's what happened in occupations. All of they're like someone, especially young kids that can just sniff it out in a heartbeat. They're like, oh, this is AI. It's like you're gonna type up this big budget plan, and you expect me to like put in these in-depth replies. Like, I'm gonna tap it. I'm gonna throw what you put into AI, and I'm gonna throw it in AI, and AI is gonna put it back, and it's gonna be AI is doing
Yeah.
all the work.
Yeah.
I just did this recently, right? And it's
Mhm.
just
What are we doing here?
we're losing. We're losing it.
Oh,
That one's
100%.
that one's a scary one that
We don't even know
I
the
honestly
unintended
don't see.
consequences.
Yeah, I don't see a resolution on this anytime soon.
You know what the resolution is like our the infrastructure for our power grid starts hurting, and we have
Mm,
what we experienced in Portugal, or not Portugal,
mm.
Spain, where the
Spain, yeah.
freaking power goes out in the entire country for a good 4 hours. That'll start bringing down the consumption of AI. You know,
You know,
something drastic like that.
yeah. You know what's interesting about this? Brett Weinstein was talking about on the most recent Joe Rogan he was on, and he's talking about like things like AI and the internet and social media. All these things were created in the last like 30 years, right?
Hmm.
And it's like these mass culture changing things that no one knows how to manage it, how to manage it emotionally, how to even understand it, what it's capable of, right? And before, like when you go through the eons of society, you would have elders
Mm,
that could pass down wisdom to you.
yeah.
But we don't have any elders passing down any wisdom on AI. We don't have any elders passing down. We're starting to get some elders on passing down some wisdom to the internet.
Yeah.
But
Internet,
then
man.
even that, the internet that was created when we were kids in the 90s is like not even the same
Nothing
thing.
applies. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing applies
Your
to it.
skill
Then
set doesn't translate, so it's like you're not even an elder. It's like get the hell out of here.
yeah, the kids are way better than you anyway.
Yeah.
So then the same thing goes with social media and cell phones, these computers in your pockets. Like we were talking about that earlier. Like we don't even know, like I was saying, I find myself to be a mindful person, but I don't know, and we're not learning how to, because it's very difficult. No one knows how to do it. So then that's why you and I went to, it was like, all right, we're just gonna get rid of it. There's no elders that's gonna pass down wisdom to us. We're checking out. We're done. We're done with it.
You have to do something drastic because
Yeah.
it's impossible. Like it's just impossible. Like even you know we've had conversations with friends and family about this, and I'm like, well, why don't you do you know you can actually turn your phone into a
Yeah.
minimal
Yeah.
phone, or
Everyone says that.
did you? But you know, you could set limits on your app, or
Yeah.
or the best one is people act like they're just like so mentally strong-willed and strong that they can just stay off social media. Like, give me a
Yeah.
fucking break. Let me see your phone. Let me see your usage last week.
Hmm.
Oh, why is there social media on there? And you and I did that for a lot, but it'd be like you'd be able to stay off of it few weeks in a row. You would look at your usage, but then it would stop, and then it would rise up.
Yeah.
It would pop up Instagram, X, whatever it was.
I would take months off. I remember like 3 to 6 months here and there every now and then. I would get them all, but eventually I would come back. And what sucks is there are some beneficial things.
Oh,
I
for
still
sure.
have my iPhone. Probably once a week, I'll spend, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I'll jump on Instagram, and I've designed my algorithm to find like beneficial things in society. So it's feeding me like things that make me cry, or creative
Yeah.
art things, and that make me happy, and then I could share with other people and maybe see good in the world rather than all the chaos that's going on.
Or the 17-year-old in a skirt bouncing on the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's what the majority of it's filled with.
Hmm.
Speaking of that, we can go into that. Yeah, like porn. Porn's the largest, one of the major convenience
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Internet and porn,
Hmm. 100%.
rather than because rather than developing a relationship and finding someone that you're attracted to, and then
It's a lot of
eventually,
work.
yeah, convince them like, oh, you just, oh, I have this thing in my pocket that I can just pull up porn,
Yeah.
and
Can't watch
that's
porn
been
with the mobile phone.
yeah, and
With
that's
the
been a huge factor with the youth now, and a lot of them are like experimenting at very low ages through just trying to copy exactly what the porn is showing, and they're not even in like adolescence yet. You know what I mean?
mm,
They're just
mm,
like trying, this insane thing that's
mm-hmm,
going on behind the scenes, and a lot of other creepy stuff that comes along with all that
mm,
entire industry, but it's all built on convenience, the quickest way to get sex, or what you're in. We're all like designed as a species to seek out sex or be interested in it because that's how we've survived. Is
even text messaging, dude. Like text messaging compared to not to like talking to a human is a convenience, and what's it do? It prevents you from building relationships. Texting versus calling
mm-hmm,
prevents you from building relationships. Imagine just never texting your mom and dad ever again, and you call them every time,
mm-hmm.
right? Or any of your close friends.
What's
And
that quote? Yeah, keep going, keep going.
and uh, and I think social media is the other one. So you just went like porn, social media, texting, uh, and then all the other apps where you think you're Snapchat and all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a perception of relationship, but it really isn't there. Uh, there was. Were you about to add something to that topic? Because I have a few
Yeah,
more I want to rattle
that
off.
quote of Matthias Desmet off the Psychology of Totalitarianism, where he talked about um, being on video versus. Um,
Mm.
do you remember what I'm talking about?
Right, like even being on video like you and I are now isn't it hurts. It's a convenience, then it hurts human relationships
Yeah,
compared to
and
the raw
there's
food.
this underlying disconnection that we don't even realize. Um,
Mm.
do you remember that quote I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I think you said enough right there. I mean, that's
yeah, there's essentially this like we feel like it's oh yeah, me and you are talking, but like there's this like subconsciously we're like we get frustrated and have this like depression for not having this connection even though we're connected, but it's just like it makes you feel like you're connected but you're not, and subconsciously you're not, and then you have this like feeling, and then you treat each other in this like negative um
mm.
in this just in a different way than you would if me and you were sitting in a room,
Yeah, that's wild to
right?
even think about
Yeah, so it's like
because that's all we do.
that's
That's all I
another.
do all day. So I'm on like video chats. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And it's
Versus
like,
like being in person.
yeah, and under the subconscious level.
Yeah.
But yeah, where were you
Eh,
headed?
I got a bunch of things on here that I went through, like credit cards, smartphone pay. I was looking at comparing. So when we used to pay with cash, like it would hurt. It would hurt your wallet. It would hurt your like conscience because it was a direct. You directly saw like what you lost when you had like you have
Mm,
$1,000 in cash and you
yeah.
pay for something that's $500, and so it made it very visible. And then when we moved to credit cards, it it it's like a future problem you had to deal with, and like the brain doesn't do well with that, with like
Yeah.
delayed gratification or whatever, right? Or
Hmm.
delayed like penalties. And so I looked into the research, and this is before the like smartphone data, right? Where now you can tap with your smartphone. You don't even need a credit card anymore. And another big one, Amazon, where the convenience of shipping and just one click payment. Uh, I'll talk about Amazon and credit cards, but the average credit card transaction uh, is roughly 112 versus 22 for cash. That was the research. You can add it to the show notes.
Oh wow,
And
that's crazy.
in another study, people are willing to pay almost 100% higher credit cards versus cash.
Mm,
And so imagine what the smartphone does when you just just tap that thing wherever you go. Not only tap it, you just you could just buy. Sometimes you buy things accidentally. Our 4-year-old children could buy something accidentally,
mm,
and so then Amazon. We used to wait for days or weeks to buy something, and what the benefits of sleep on it. The whole concept of sleep on it. We used to sleep on it, not intentionally, unintentionally, but then it prevented purchases. Now you just purchase it could be within a few hours. uh,
mm,
and so I looked at consumer spending, and Amazon's share of total US retail purchases went from 7.4% in 2021 to 9.9% in 2023, and it's continuing to grow. And this is percent of all retail, like in the US, all of it. And so it's
yeah.
gaining by like almost 3% every year. There's, I think, 71 orders per household on Amazon. And when they looked at like surveys, convenience ranked as a top motivator.
Mm. Yeah, you talk to anybody, they like, I would love to buy from a local person, but the convenience is too good for Amazon. You just can't. You don't have to go anywhere. It just arrives at your door literally the next day. Sometimes you can order it now and it'll get there tonight. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
sometimes I can't even fathom like where are they even picking this thing up
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and getting it here.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's a big one. Uh, One of the biggest ones that I think is a major issue in society is like TV versus books or any consumption of
Yeah.
technology versus reading. And I don't think we'll ever come back from that, unfortunately. But and even listening to audio, it's a tad better, right? But
Hmm.
it, you and I both know I've tried to listen to books, but you're not absorbing it because you can't write down any notes, right? And then
And you're multitasking usually when you're
yeah,
listening.
you got to be super focused to absorb that information, you're in a
Yep.
lecture hall or something. Even then, lecture halls are notoriously famous for the kids not being able to absorb the information
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
So that's a massive one. That one sucks because me and you picked up books, I don't know, called 10 years ago or so, and it's become just an uncalculable benefit to our lives,
Yeah.
and I know how beneficial it could be for other people if you just start reading a little bit more every day, and that's what's helped of getting this minimal phone or just watch a little bit less TV and read one chapter today, and
Hmm.
uh, and there's so much wisdom in books. There's wisdom in documentaries and movies and good art out there, but you're getting way more wisdom in these books that you can apply in your life or you can apply to your mental health. You could apply to your relationship with your significant other, your kids, all these things. Like
There's depth in a
convenience
book.
has really screwed us here when it comes to less book reading, and the stats are out there. It's insane amount of difference between um, like the downfall of reading over the years.
Mm. Yeah, and there's depth in a book, and you have to commit to like. Sometimes it takes me months to read a book, and because sometimes I'm shuffling more than one at a time. Sometimes I'm trying to read one that's 600 pages, and uh, it's just there's so much deepness in a book that there's just no replacement.
What's the Thomas Sowell quote around, or do you remember that study around uh, parents and the amount of books or bookshelves they have in their house?
Mm, yeah, it's something along the lines of like the more books you had in the home. There's research around more the amount of books you had in the home, and then the amount of reading you do to your children. Uh, you do to your children. The amount of books you read to your children, like the word frequency and the amount of
Yeah.
volume.
And how successful they are. And
Yeah, like something just as simple as that. Like the more you're reading to your children versus not, and the success that child has is like night and day.
this was another reason why we did the minimal phone, because your children mimic what the parents do.
Yeah,
They see
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
parents are on their phones all the time, that they're gonna, oh, the parents really, this is like a god. They're on it way more than anything, right? They're on it
Mm-hmm.
6 hours a day.
6 hours
Like
a day. Yeah, yeah,
they talk to that thing more than he talked to me. So like, to me, that was a large factor for
yeah.
me
That's a huge motivator.
of getting off of it.
Yeah.
What else? I think
I got a few
probably,
more, like
yeah.
lighting, artificial lighting. I mean, we're huge on that. So it just there's so much deleterious effects with artificial lighting that it's just so deep. It disrupts our circadian rhythm, our body, and on a deep cellular level.
Hmm.
Thinks we're still in daytime when we're not, and it just it just kicks us out of rhythm, infects us, and has so much inflammation that you can't even describe. So
Hmm. And what
that one's a
doesn't
huge
is
one.
candles. Candles don't have that same effect,
Yeah,
and
fire, real
it's a lot
fire.
more convenient, a lot less convenient.
Yeah.
What I just thought of when you were just talking is like wired internet versus like Wi-Fi, and
Mm, mm-hmm.
the electromagnetic
Convenience. Yeah.
frequencies just being flown around, and now they're zapping through us rather going through a wire because it's
Yeah.
way more convenient. Um,
Dude, everything.
yeah.
Cars. We use cars for short distances, and we used to walk
Hmm.
for in places,
Bikes
and
and yeah.
what removes movement, exercise, etc. Food delivery, catering. I was at the barbershop yesterday, and we were talking about the Feast of Seven Fishes, which is Italian. What Italians do on Christmas Eve, and you basically create meals. A bunch of, like, the whole feast is around like 7 different fishes, from seafood to salmon to mollusks and whatever else, right?
Hmm.
And he talked about, like, his Italian friend, they cater in all their food, and because the question he asked me is like, does your wife's family make all the food? And I was like, what do you mean? I mean, we order like the seafood salad, and then in the maker we order like, we're not fishing for the clams, which actually would be taking it to the fucking next level if you want to take it to the next level. But they cater it, and even Tina, she was talking about some of her, like, friends and acquaintances that are Italian. Like, a lot of them do the same thing, and I was just like, and I just had like a heartfelt conversation with the guy doing my hair, and it's just like, man, that just takes the soul out of it. It's soul sucking to
Hmm.
cater all that food in, and now there's this. It just removes half of the experience away, and it reminds me of preparing the book we read on the Sabbath, where the amount of time the family goes into preparing for the Sabbath. You remember that book we
Hmm.
read,
Hmm.
Abraham Herschel, and it just sounded so wonderful. A lot of work, right? A lot of work, and that's why it's not as convenient. But his parents would spend all day preparing the meal prior to when the Sabbath starts at dusk, and then the sun sets, and then Sabbath would start. But there was just all this work, and that's what he remembered. And now you could just get that all catered in. You could
Hmm.
just get it all catered in, and you don't even have to follow Sabbath, man. You could just do it. You need to do it whatever you want to do it, And it's just like convenience just hits us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
GPS is a huge one. They
Yeah.
did that taxi study where
Yeah.
GPS versus not, and their brains basically they're
Yeah.
less intelligent, essentially.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking of the other day was instead of like dealing with our emotions, and right, we were talking about sitting quietly in a room, but instead of dealing with them, we usually like outsource them, or we uh or we distract ourselves with other things like cigarettes, like
Hmm.
alcohol, like marijuana, weed. And this
Hmm.
our society is awful with this. We
Hmm.
we're just the worst with it. Uh, and it's like, and it really is convenience. Convenience is killing us because we're avoiding dealing with our emotions and these neuroses that we build up in our adolescence for dealing with our parents and whoever else at that time. And instead, we're smoking that vape pen,
Yeah.
that weed, those gummies, anytime we're having any type of insecurity, anxiety, alcohol, whatever you name it. And it's all out of convenience because the most hardest thing that we could do is to deal with it, face it, sit in a room quietly and try and understand it and work through it.
Mm.
And it's, addiction's one of the leading causes of deaths out there.
I mean, that's funny because when you were saying it, like you have to go to a rehab center, and the rehab center is like really good at like getting you off your addiction, relatively speaking, pretty good at getting you off your addiction. But you have to go away to this other place, and you get removed out of your environment, and you get stripped away of all those options. So the convenience factor kind of like gets removed.
Mm,
So you can't reach for the bottle, you can't reach for the thing or whatever you're addicted to, but then you get back in your environment. And now you have options. Now you have beer in your fridge. You have the 7-Eleven down the street. You can pick up cigarettes, yada yada, whatever it is, coffee, whatever your habit you want to get rid of is, your addiction is. Uh, and yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about, just remove your options.
mhm. The last thing I want to end it off with is there's the there's a factor in our brains that kind of show this. I got written down over the anterior mid cingulate cortex. It's like some
Hmm.
part in our brain that kind of really shows when we take. It's like a brain area that gets larger when we do something hard or like seek convenience and go the easy route. And the thing that's fascinating about it is it like shrinks when you do the opposite, when you take the convenient route. And it's like it's smaller in obese people, and it gets larger when you start to diet and eat healthy foods, and it gets larger when you start to exercise more and do harder things like cold showers. These people, like
Hmm.
people with larger mid cingulate cortexes, live longer.
Hmm.
Uh, and they think it's like one of the seats of like the will to live, the will to live longer is this. So it's like when you do hard things, when you when you're mindful, you avoid seeking convenience and you really focus on doing hard things,
Hmm.
then you find you live longer, you have a more happier life, you're more confident in yourself, you believe in yourself, you're doing more healthier things. And you and I did this a lot in our life when it comes to like daily cold showers, daily exercising, daily meditation, doing all these like very difficult things. But our mid-cingulate cortexes are probably a little bit larger than most people. And I'm not saying this to brag.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
other things I can do, but like this is where you need to get to, and I could be better at a lot of
Oh,
these things
100%.
and even add in additional things to that list. But like try and be more mindful and don't shame yourself when you seek out convenience. Just be more mindful. Like the next time you go to eat that quick meal, maybe you shouldn't stop at McDonald's. Just skip McDonald's fast, right?
Hmm.
When I cut out fast food, like when we went back home, I just realized, hey, if we didn't have anything with us, I just fasted. That was it.
Hmm.
It's like it wasn't worth it. Screw it.
Yep,
I'm
like
not going to
Tupperware or
commute.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah,
I think Chris Williamson called that the Goggins cortex,
yeah, yeah.
because he's like the master of doing hard things. Uh, there's one quote on convenience I wanted to end with. This guy, Alan Dibb, he wrote the book Lean Marketing, wrote a few other marketing books, and he said Evan Williams, the co-founder of Twitter, said convenience decides everything. convenience very often makes our decisions for us, sometimes even overriding our innate preferences.
Mm,
There you go.
yeah, for sure. And you've seen that even with like priming people for what was it called? Organ donors?
Hmm.
The organ donor thing when people like,
Oh yeah, the default.
yeah,
Hmm.
the default if you're going to get your license and the default is to become an organ donor, the convenient thing is to do is just to, yeah, that's fine,
Yeah.
right? But if the default is like you're not an organ donor, people, I think it was a very low percentage of people switched it and said, "Oh yeah, I'll become an organ
It was
donor."
like 80-20.
Yeah.
So like if you make the default choice is you're an organ donor when you get your license, then you're 80% likely to stay with it. If you make the default choice you're not an organ donor and you have to like take an action, so it's the less convenient path. There's some friction.
Hmm.
When there's friction involved, it's less convenient. 20% likely to be an organ donor. So it's like they increased organ donations by what 20% to 80% when they made it default.
Hmm.
And yeah, that came from the book Nudge.
Yeah. And think about
Uh,
this in your life, right? With anything, you can do it with yourself just by like designing your own environment, right? When it comes to
yeah,
like exercising, eating healthy, sitting quietly, getting rid of your phone and getting a minimal phone or a dumb phone. Yeah.
convenience kills everybody.
Let's go. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.